This book is called Abuela. That's the Spanish word for grandmother. The book was written by Arthur Dorros, and it was illustrated by Elisa Kleven. Abuela is one of the books taken from Dolly's Imagination Library. If you don't know about that program, it's worth looking into. Dolly Parton long ago set up an imagination library designed to try and put a book in every child's hand. She has donated and helped raise money for accomplishing that goal and has put millions of books into the hands of young readers. The author dedicated the book this way: to my grandmothers, a mis abuelas, and Alex. The illustrator said this: for my nephews, Sam, Joey, Jacob, Andrew, Sean, Todd, Harry, and Scott. Abuela takes me on the bus. We go all around the city. Abuela is my grandma. She is my mother's mother. Abuela means grandma in Spanish. Abuela speaks mostly Spanish because that's what people spoke where she grew up, before she came to this country. Abuela and I are always going places. Today, we are going to the park. El parque es lindo, says Abuela. I know what she means. I think the park is beautiful too. Tantos pájaros, Abuela says, as a flock of birds surrounds us. So many birds. They're picking up the bread we brought. What if they picked me up and carried me high above the park? Oh, what if I could fly? Abuela would wonder where I was. Swooping like a bird, I'd call to her. Then she'd see me flying. Rosalba, the bird. Rosalba, el pájaro, she'd say. Ven, Abuela. Come, Abuela, I'd say. Sí, quiero volar. Abuela would reply as she leaped into the sky with her skirt flapping in the wind. We would fly all over the city. Mira, Abuela would say, pointing. And I'd look as we soared over parks and streets, dogs and people. We'd wave to the people waiting for the bus. Buenos dias, we'd say. Buenos dias, good morning, they'd call up to us. We'd fly over factories and trains and glide close to the sea. Cerca del mar, we'd say. We'd almost touch the tops of waves. Abuela's skirt would be a sail. She could race with the sailboats. I'll bet she'd win. We'd fly to where the ships are docked and watch people unload fruits from the land where Abuela grew up. Mangoes, bananas, papayas, those are all Spanish words. So are rodeo, patio, and burro. Maybe we'd see a cousin of Abuela's hooking boxes of fruit to a crane. We saw her cousin Daniel once, unloading and loading the ships. Out past the boats in the harbor, we'd see the Statue of Liberty. Me gusta, Abuela would say. Abuela really likes her. I do too. We would circle around Liberty's head and wave to the people visiting her. That would remind Abuela of when she first came to this country. Vamos al aeropuerto, she'd say. She'd take me to the airport where the plane that first brought her landed. Cuidado, Abuela would tell me. We'd have to be careful as we went for a short ride. Then we could fly to Tio Pablo's and Tia Elisa's store. Pablo is my uncle, my tio, and Elisa is my aunt, my tia. They'd be surprised when we flew in, but they'd offer us a cool limonada. Flying is hot work. Pero quiero volar más, Abuela would say. She wants to fly more. I want to fly more too. We could fly to las nubes, the clouds. One looks like a cat, un gato. One looks like a bear, un oso. One looks like a chair, una silla. Descansemos un momento, Abuela would say. She wants to rest a moment. We could rest in our chair, and Abuela would hold me in her arms with the whole sky, our house, nuestra casa. We'd be as high as airplanes, balloons, and birds, and higher than the tall buildings downtown. But we'd fly there, too, to look around. We could find the building where my father works. Hola, papa, I'd say as I waved, and Abuela would do a flip for fun as we passed by the windows. Mira, I hear Abuela say. Look, she's telling me. I do look, and we are back in the park. We are walking by the lake. Abuela probably wants to go for a boat ride. Vamos a otra aventura, she says. She wants to go for another adventure. That's just one of the things I love about Abuela. She likes adventures. Abuela takes my hand. Vamos, she says. Let's go. The end. Al final. If this book reminds you of Tar Beach by Faith Ringgold, go look at that book. Look at the illustrations, read the text, and compare it to this book. They make a very interesting pair of books to compare. And on this page, the authors and the designers give us what's called a glossary. So people who do not speak Spanish, like me, can learn how to pronounce things. So if you see this and you think in English, El Parque es Lindo, you can come a little closer to getting it right because they explain El Parque es Lindo, giving you phonetic ways to say me gusta, me gusta. Rosalba el pájaro, Rosalba el pájaro. You can do this too. Maybe a big sister, a big brother, an aunt, an uncle, a tío, a tia, a grandma, an abuela. Maybe someone like that in your house can help you. Here we learn that the author, Arthur Dorros, used to live in New York, has written both in Spanish and in English books for young readers, and he now lives in Seattle, Washington, with his wife and a son. The illustrator, the artist, Elisa Kleven, has done B for Bethlehem, maybe some other books you've seen as well, and lives in Albany, California. This book, about a little girl and her grandma, written in English, but with a few Spanish phrases thrown in, because the grandma comes from a Spanish-speaking country, has been Abuela, written by Arthur Dorros, illustrated by Elisa Kleven.